So to kind of give a background of how things continuously accumulated emotionally for my breaking point, and how overwhelmed I actually was. I had ended a relationship with a narcissist in June of that summer, and emotionally that like obviously took a toll, like regardless of me ending the relationship, because I knew that like long term, like I could not continue to be in that. If anyone knows anything about narcissistic abuse, it's like it genuinely reprograms your mind. Like it makes you view things in a different perspective because you're in this like fight or flight reactive abuse type of like energy. But I was finding a hard time like being able to hold my ground and know that this is something that I need to do and not actually just run back because I feel lonely, you know? So then that was going on throughout the summer. My roommate was moving out. I was supposed to have a new roommate coming in. She ended up bailing last minute. And when I came back home, because I went to go visit my family in the end of July, beginning of August, my intention was to go back home, and now that I don't have another roommate, I needed to find another job. My rent was like $3,000 a month. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So obviously we're about to go into slow season at work, and there was no way that I was going to really be able to afford that. So I wanted to find another job so that I could be able to know that I don't have to stress about my bills. My second week that I came back to work, probably like August 13th, is when I got my concussion. And a lot of people keep asking me how I got my concussion. And it honestly is just a freak fucking accident, because I got hit in the head with a Casamigos bottle and a marquee sign. Like those ones that you like put up and you put words on them. So I was at work and somebody was following me with a marquee sign, and I had a bottle going to like present this way, and I was about to go walk out. Somebody had stopped me to like ask me a question or something, and when I went to stop, the person behind me continued to keep walking and completely walked into the glass bottle in my hand, and the glass bottle then smashed against my face, around like my temple, my cheek, my jaw, and immediately lost vision. I thought I lost a tooth. When I went to the hospital thought I fractured my cheek. It was a whole fiasco. But that is how the whole brain injury all stemmed, because it stemmed from that concussion. Continuing on, now it is from August to September, probably end of September, beginning of October. The neurologist that I was seeing, he prescribed me a drug called nortriptyline, which is it's a antidepressant, but apparently it helps with treat concussions as well. It's a nighttime antidepressant. It's supposed to make you like drowsy or something like that. I originally was very confused as to why I was being given that, because this was my 5th concussion. Don't ask me why I'm such a klutz, because I ain't got no answers. Like, it's the way I act, literally. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. I'm not sure. But so he prescribed me that medication, and obviously once I got this concussion, now I am not able to work. I still have rent to pay. I'm barely able to like be in the sun, watch TV, anything. I'm constantly having headaches. Now I put it on this medication and slowly working my way back up at work. So I'm being able to go for 4 hours and then work my way up to 6 hours. And then workers' comp was paying me an average of like what I usually make. So that's kind of how I was able to survive, but it was not what I was actually making at work, if that makes sense. I was only getting paid like maybe $4,100 a month, and again, my rent was $3,000 a month, and my car is like nearly $700. My phone, the water, the electric, groceries, gas, like there's other things I gotta pay for as well, you know? Not being able to physically do anything about this, and bills, the month is ending, and then this and then that. Obviously, I'm just very overwhelmed because of the whole situation. I'm going to work and I'm now having blackouts at work. I'm having panic attacks at work. I'm completely forgetting what I'm in the middle of doing. I'm literally at a computer screen, and then all of a sudden everything goes black, and I'm like, and I have no idea what I was doing. People were like, when things like this would happen, people would literally be speaking to me, and I would not be able to comprehend what they're saying. Like, I could hear them say the cat was there, like individually, but I could not put the words together to understand the sentence. And then on top of it, like, I already felt like I was more of a burden at work because I wasn't capable of doing a lot of things, and then I was getting paid the same. So like, I could feel the gossip around work, and like people thinking that I'm faking it, people thinking that whatever it is. So then that's added anxiety to me already feeling incapable of doing my own job. And then in the middle of me doing these jobs, I'm having episodes like this where I'm like, now like, I don't know what's going on because I don't remember what I was just doing, and I can't comprehend what you're even speaking to me. So then I'm leaving work having panic attacks. I'm going to the bathroom and crying and like trying to pull myself together. So throughout all of this, my anxiety and my depression was tremendously intensifying. I had no idea where things would go and when things would get better. I remember very much like having a conversation with my doctor about side effects of this medication, because I had understood, like, I have been through a lot worse in my life, and I could not understand why I was getting to a point that I was scared to be alone. My thoughts, my intrusive thoughts, my feelings, the overwhelming, like, I just want to give up. Like, I'm done. Like, and I knew that I was stronger than that. I knew that I've been through so much more in my life that has genuinely tore me apart. At this point, I'm just at home. Because I didn't know what was going on and like my health and this and whatever, how I was going to pay for anything, my brain went from stress to depressed to wanting to truly just give up. The thoughts that I was having on a day-to-day, like, just made me fear being alone because I didn't know what I would do. Honestly. Like, I was very much suicidal, and I couldn't understand why it was that bad. And I know that, like, the doctors had mentioned to me that when you get a concussion, and if you've ever suffered from depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, things like this in your life, that they are more susceptible to rise back up. But also this medication, that's also a side effect. So I started to feel crazy. I brought it up to my doctor's attention. He basically said like, oh no, everything's fine, like brushed it off. I remember leaving the office like bawling my eyes out and like calling my family like, I need help. Like, I need help. Oh my God. Like, I remember genuinely telling them like, I don't know what to do. Like, I need to see somebody. I need someone to give me some type of medication to help me, because I just wanted to give up. And the thoughts that I was having were like insane thoughts of like breaking my legs in half, like in a situation, like if my legs are hanging from here, I'm like hoping that someone comes and sits on my legs and breaks them, you know, like, and snaps them, or like just crazy things. Like, I see a knife and I'm like, what if I Like, I just want to do all of these things, like, because I think it's so much easier than dealing with the emotions that I was going through at the time. And I knew that that was not the mindset that I wanted for myself. So I needed to seek help. And when I did, I ended up seeing, obviously, this doctor, this neurologist wasn't helping me at all. He didn't, what's it called? Refer me to somebody else, anybody else. He didn't change the medication. So I ended up getting a doctor on my own, and they put me on Lexapro in the morning, lorazepam twice a day, and then I also have ADHD, so I was taking Adderall as well. So when I ended up in the hospital said that my brain was a ticking time bomb, that the ups and downs of my brain waves with the medication all day long, that if it didn't happen then, it would have happened later. Like, the mixtures of medications that I was on was not helping any of the situation. I'm like, okay, let's test these things out. Like, obviously, like, when you start new medication, like, you have to wait for things to build up in your system and start to work. So then I end up seeing the doctor again, my neurologist, and letting him know that those feelings still continued. And I took things into my own hands to seek help because, again, I was suicidal, and I'm literally telling this doctor that I want to, and he's like, it's okay. So I tell him I'm on all this new medication, whatever. He adds it to his chart. He tells me that it's fine. I ask him, is this fine for me to be taking with this other medication? He tells me, yes, it's fine. Adds it into my records, in my notes, into my whatever. So I had an appointment on Thursday, and that's when he basically is like, oh, okay, perfect. Like, you're on all this medication, da, da, da. And at this point, I had already been on the medication for about like 2 to 3 weeks because I had already seen another doctor. And I was just confirming this with this doctor in case he wanted me to stop and it was like not safe, you know? At this point, I end up going to work that weekend. Saturday night, I went to sleep, set my alarm for work on Sunday, and I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. The drugs, I guess, had a mixture in my brain that I was having seizures on and off for 12 hours in my apartment. I remember reaching out to somebody saying, like, there's something wrong, like, there's something not right in my head. Like, I felt like I can't even explain to you what I felt. At this point, I did a no call, no show. Like, I had coworkers that were like, this is not normal, like, what's going on? My family was trying to get in contact with me. My family ended up contacting my old roommate and having her come. There was just a whole 9 yards just to be able to get in contact with me, find me, get the police, because the police had came and left my apartment 3 times prior to actually breaking my door down and finding me. And at that point, my old roommate was able to go through our backyard and shine like the flashlight towards my room and be able to see that I was still convulsing in my bed. I guess, like, once I got to the hospital, I went into respiratory failure and then got intubated and was in a coma for 3 days. And then at that point, that's when they contacted my family and told them to come say their goodbyes to me because they don't know how much damage and how long I was having these episodes for. And I would either wake up a vegetable or not wake up at all. So they made it very clear for my family to rush to drive from Jersey or fly from Jersey or whatever the heck it is. You better get from Jersey to Florida immediately. Originally, the police thought that I overdosed. That's what it said in my charts. When I woke up from the hospital, they literally Baker acted me. And I had somebody in the room with me because I had all of my medications next to my bed. Like, I forget to take meds all the time, so if it's not right in front of my face, but I was taking them as prescribed. So, and most of them all were there, like, other than what I have been taking, you know? But the only drug that was like in the drug test, like at the hospital, that was more than I really should be taking was that nortriptyline drug. All of the doctors were very concerned. I'm like, and seeing that like you're taking this, like, and honestly, waking up from the coma and them telling me all this stuff, like I told you guys how depressed I was. Like, I remember like them telling me like my family was coming, and I was so rude. I was so rude to them. I told them not even to come. They were literally driving for hours, and I was like, tell them not to come. Tell them not to come. I don't want them here. Truly, I thought that it was true. And I was just embarrassed. I thought that like what the hospital was telling me what happened originally, before all the tests started coming in and like results and everything. I believed it because I was so depressed and I was thinking about it so often that I had no other explanation to explain the last few days, you know, like what happened, because I don't remember anything. And it just, as time and time went on, it just didn't make sense. Like, why would I set my alarm and put my clothes aside and take my makeup off and do all these things, like, to, like, just die? Like, what did I need that alarm for? It didn't make sense. But that's what I believed when I first woke up. And I was not very nice to my family because of it, because I was just embarrassed. And then after all of this happened, after the hospital, that is what really triggered my seizures, that incident, because after that, now I was having seizures 5 to 6 times a day. After your discharge, you have to have a follow-up with a neurologist. I end up going to go see my neurologist, and he didn't even see me, had me be seen by an RN. And I asked, like, where's my doctor? Like, I really wanted to talk to him about all of this stuff. And they said, like, oh, they're working together as a team, blah, 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 blah. So then at this point, a doctor comes in and basically drops me as a client, tells me that he's never had anybody have seizures from this medication, that I did it to myself, that he's fully clearing me to go back to work full time. Mind you, at this point, I had only been able to work 6 hours a day, and I was still having blackouts and panic attacks at or after work. And also, by them fully clearing me, that means that I'm no longer getting paid from workers' comp to supply what I was missing by not being at work. At this point, I'm like hysterically crying and arguing with this doctor because I don't understand. Like, I felt like he just brushed me off to save his own ass. It was just a huge slap in the fucking face. Now workers' comp is telling me that I have a one-time doctor change, and now I have to wait for them to find availability with another doctor and schedule and this. So I didn't get paid for 2 months, and I did not go back to work because I physically was not able to not have seizures 5 times a day. And what does it look like me going to, like, this was directly after the coma. Like, I saw this doctor 2 weeks after being in the coma, and I had not returned to work yet. But then after being in a coma, he was fully clearing me to go back to work at a day club, at a nightclub with lights and loud music and a bunch of people and high pace and being able to focus. So then on top of everything that was going on, at this point, I was barely able to take care of myself. I was exhausted all of the time. I was legally not allowed to drive. Like, the sun was still bothering, the headaches, my eye was constantly twitching, the blackouts, there was just so much still going on. Then now I had to fight for myself to try to represent myself, because these doctors just looked at me. I was alone out there. I didn't have family. I didn't have people going to these doctor's appointments with me. It was just me, a dumb little girl in their eyes. All of the phone calls, all the scheduling, all the this and all the back and forth that they told me this and they told me that, and like the frustration that I would feel because I felt like nobody wanted to help me. Nobody. And the accumulation of the months, I was still not able to fully heal from the narcissistic relationship and breakup that I was going through. Then I was going through frustration of not being able to pay my own bills and wondering if I'm going to be homeless, and then, or being able to eat or being able to take care of myself with the concussions and the doctors and the this, that added on, then the seizures, then all of the planning, all of the friends that were my friends, not even how are you, not even like people that I truly cared. Like when I tell you my heart was broken and I became so bitter and angry at everybody around me, I was just so overwhelmed. It was just from June until November, December, it was back to 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 things that kept happening that I could not heal from any of them. They were just getting worse and worse and worse and worse because I was trying to prioritize, and now I have to focus on this, and now I have to focus on this. But then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about this, and I still feel this, and I still haven't healed from that, and blah, blah, blah. Like it was just suffocating the emotions that I lost everything, that I wasn't able to provide for myself. I wasn't able to confide in anybody. I wasn't able to have people. I felt so alone in every angle throughout this process. December is what really had more of a shift in me taking control back of my life in any way that I could, because I had been trying throughout this, like throughout the summer, I was trying to become more independent and journal and this and that. And I just found after all of these things kept happening, nothing was bringing me genuine peace and happiness. And I decided to start my video journals in December and hold myself accountable and reflect on my emotions and just give myself the grace that I needed. At that point is when I had to start doing research, and like literally when I tell you doing research in order to get seen by another doctor that would actually treat me because I was still having these seizures, I was trying to focus and read while having seizures at home to be able to get enough paperwork to provide this next doctor that there's proof that the mixtures of medication, that the side effects of that medication alone, that an overdose of that medication all are seizures. Trying to defend myself, trying to be taken seriously, because I was tired of just being looked at like, oh yeah, anywhere that I was, at my job, at my this, like nobody believed, nobody cared, nobody was trying to help me, nobody reached out, nothing. Like I had a select few people that were here and there that I was able to vent to, and it was all just phone calls, you know? That distance it's not the same, especially when you're sick and like trying to provide for yourself, you know? December is genuinely where I decided to take a hold of my life and fall more into my spirituality, into God, into the Word, into forcing myself to make it a habit to learn how to be happy on my own, to find things that bring me joy, to find coping mechanisms for my panic attacks, to find coping mechanisms or being able to read my body better and be able to understand my triggers or my symptoms or how far I can push my body before triggering a seizure. I wasn't even able to do but laundry, like, without having issues and losing balance, and folding laundry while I'm having seizures where I, like, can't control myself and just have to, like, wait, or, like, my jaw, like, there's 40 different types of seizures that you can have. And it wasn't just, like, the convulsion, like, seizures that I was having. That was where I had to start individually letting go and accepting things that I couldn't control. And that was where I lost control in every aspect of my life, in my career, in my relationship, in my friendships, in my health, in my home life. Like, I was on the verge of being homeless. Literally every aspect of my life was in shambles. It wasn't just one. And I wasn't able to fully heal from any of the things, and none of the things were getting better. They just felt like they were adding on and on and on and on. It took a lot to get me to where I am now, but I am so proud of everything that I've gone through, because I was able to end up fighting for myself, getting seen by doctors, being able to continue treatment. I ended up getting a diagnosis maybe 4 or 5 months later, and I ended up getting diagnosed with something that's called PNES, which is psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, which means that being epileptic, it falls under the branch of epilepsy, but being epileptic is the misfiring of neurons in your brain. But there's other forms of epilepsy, and one of them is called PNES, psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, which is when your brain has gone through, whether it's past trauma, current trauma, or it can be induced with head trauma, when your brain decides to shut down from external stimulation and then send signals to your nervous system to then mimic seizure-like activity. So they look, they feel, they sound, or whatever it is, like seizures. Obviously, this was my 5th concussion. I have an immense amount of childhood trauma, teenage trauma, adult trauma, relationship trauma, friendship trauma all the fuck around. I never let any of the things that have happened to me in my life affect or change my direction of where I want to go. And I've been blessed with a lot of the things that I've had the opportunities to do in my life. So throughout my research, I ended up finding information and statistics that 65 to like 70 some % of people that are diagnosed with being epileptic actually have PNES, and they don't need to be put on medication for the rest of their lives. But there's more studies done in the UK and like other countries than there are in America, and a lot of neurologists here in America end up kind of just referring you to a psychologist and be like, oh, well, there's no misfiring of neurons, so this has nothing to do with us. But in all reality, a neurologist and a psychologist should be able to work together to help with that, because it's still a part of your brain. Like, you're not in control. Your brain is literally shutting down and sending these signals to your body where you are not in control of anything. And that's what's scary. But then they make it seem like they're pseudo seizures, is which they used to call them, which pseudo means fake seizures, because since it comes from your mind and psychologically speaking, they're not real seizures, but they are. And the fact that I was blessed with a diagnosis of that, especially when I've been diving deeper into my healing, into my trauma, into my past, I think that it's an amazing opportunity to bring awareness to in the first place, because those statistics are insane to me. And that is kind of what stemmed me truly finding my purpose and what I want to do in this lifetime. What God has given me the opportunity to share and teach and open up about my life and my situations and my experiences and what I've learned, and just to be an example, to be vulnerable, because that's something that I'm not afraid of doing, you know? I know this past year, I explained like it was rough for me to get back into editing and showing these raw forms of myself. Mind you, it's like there's a lot of things like months after that I was so excited to be able to edit and send out, but story of this accumulation of the concussion and the this and the that and the everything that was going on, to be able to explain in general. Like emotionally, I wasn't ready to tell my story. And I am so excited to be able to take all of these experiences that I've had in my life and my past and be able to reflect and share all of these things with anybody and everyone that's willing to listen or it can relate. And I believe that God has done all of these things in my life. Everything in my life that has happened, good, bad, crazy, is for a purpose, and the purpose is for me to share it with those around me, because what brings me the most joy is helping others. And throughout the months, like on my social media, I've been able to post like in different areas of my life, of journaling, of going to the beach and the full moons and the new moons and the manifesting and praying and going to church and finding my own voice again and finding my purpose and knowing what I want to do in this lifetime. Finding that inner joy, that light that I can radiate and shine to others and in my life. Like I truly feel that, you know, like no matter what is going on around me, like ask me right now how my life is doing. Like, do I have everything that I want and more? And like, am I thriving? Am I this? No, I'm not. But with what I do have, I'm still so grateful and I'm so hopeful for the future, because I know that it is coming. I know that it is coming because I've dedicated all of my life and all of my surroundings and everything to tunnel focus on what I believe my purpose in this life is. There's a reason why I have this platform. There's a reason why I have all of these stories and the life that I have. There's a reason why all of these things have happened and why I have the capability and the potential, like the degree that I have and the like everything, the diagnosis that I have, all of these things are such blessings that it was all given to me to be able to bring light to talk about, to share, to be vulnerable, to help somebody out there feel like they're not alone in whatever it is that they're feeling. Whether that be in that relationship, in that friendship, in your health, in your mindset, in your career, in anything. And whether that be being ratchet and being, you know. It's just something that I've waited a very long time to really understand where I was going. Like, I've always had a vision, but as life goes on, as you become comfortable, you then become stagnant, and then those dreams that you knew you're capable of, but never were truly taking the next step and the next step and the next step to get there. It all makes sense now. I am just taking this year to sit and be grateful for the second chance that I've taken full advantage of. I didn't let this second chance just pass me by and continue with the same patterns, the same thought process. I have genuinely uprooted everything that I had known before and found what truly means the most to me, what I value, what I want to be around, and implemented more and more and more of those things until I truly became completely infatuated with myself. Like, there is not one thing that I don't love about myself. My mind, my quirkiness, my everything. Like, once you like awaken to some of these things, you are able to clearly see other people and see that, oh, like they lack this or they did that, or but it's this and it's their trauma and this and it's that. It was like, and I just want to be there for anybody. Like, that's one of my favorite things of meeting strangers and meeting anybody, is connecting. Like, truly connecting in a way that isn't superficial, but is like genuine and real. This entire year, things still kept getting harder. I wasn't fully cleared in March of this year, went back to work in April, and then moved in July, and then have been, let me not get into all of the details. Not yet. I'm not going to spoil it, because I got content coming soon. Excuse me. Sorry, it's Thanksgiving. I ate a lot, okay? And I've been talking a mouthful over here. I just am beyond excited to see and produce, and the amount of messages that I constantly get anytime that I post anything about healing and this and that, the messages that I get and receive and the stories that I hear of are just exactly the reason why I want to do this. Like, I want to be an impact. I don't want to be an influencer for fashion, for this, for whatever products are out there. Like, I am the product. And I truly believe that. And not being in no cocky way at all. Like, at all. I mean that with the most seriousness. That my life is the product. My mind is the product. My heart is the product. My generosity is the product. I was put on this earth to genuinely use my life as an example to help others. And I can't wait to see where that goes. Not saying that it's going to take off, but slowly and surely, step by step, I'll get there. And for that, for everything that I've been through this year, for how much I fucking pushed myself through the mud, through everything, I'm beyond grateful this Thanksgiving to be able to spend it with the people that I genuinely value the most, that support me the most. Being around all of this love and support, and being so proud to see those family members that have only heard this and be able to let them know how much you've grown and how just much has changed, you know? It's just an amazing reflection of everything that I have been through, everything that I am, everything that I am becoming. And I couldn't be more thankful this year. So yeah, I guess this is my little intro to my upcoming docu-series of my video journals for the next year to show you guys exactly how I lost everything and picked myself back up again. And that, I'm so excited to share you. I'm a little nervous, but I'm so excited to like finally be able to share this side of me with you guys, because I've seen the responses and that throughout like the year at different points of time of being vulnerable with you, that how much you guys have valued that. And now I'm ready to truly just step full force and just let you in on exactly how I got to and who I am and what I do and how weird I am. And I think that's a beautiful journey that we're all gonna go through together. So stay tuned.